Welcome back to the chess journey to National Master. In this episode, I'll start covering the only tournament that I played in 2024, which was Game of the Fitas. And this was round two. Round one, I got paired up against an unrated kid. It was pretty easy, not worth showing. And in the second round, I got paired up against a very strong Spanish player, Alexander Pinsac, and he's 2169, which is pretty much almost national master according to the ratings, which probably it's the equivalent to uh, candidate master, because I think they are both like crossing 2200. So yeah, I was very excited to have the white pieces against this strong opponent. you know uh I actually was preparing 1 hour before the game, and I actually got my preparation in, which was very lucky. I played e4. My opponent went for the Sicilian, knight f3, d6, d4, and here I went for the open Sicilian, but with a twist. I played queen takes d4, and yeah, first time I played this variation, I actually looked at it in depth for like 1 hour. I tried my best to cover all the most important variations here. I was very lucky because I got what I wanted and what I was seeing before the game, which was knight c6, bishop e5, bishop d7, takes, knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, e6, castles, bishop e7. And yeah, we reached this position, which is pretty straightforward, pretty interesting actually. It looks like a normal position, but there's like a lot of tricks. And even though black is fine in all the variations, they have to know what they are doing, and they have to know the variation well before the game, or they have to calculate like really, really well. It's a very tricky opening, and actually, I had to face this as black myself a couple of episodes ago against Rodrigo Basidio. I will leave the game at the end if you guys want to check that out. I actually lost the game, and I blundered in the open, but it was exactly this. Okay, here I just play rook h e1, so pretty straightforward. He castled, and yeah, this is very interesting because we have opposite side castling, and okay, how do you evaluate this position? So I gave up the bishop pair, which is definitely not good, but in trade of giving up the bishop pair, I actually got to have a quick development, and yeah, my pieces are way more active than his. So yeah, I have attacking chances, but I have to come up with something here. And here I played e5, which is the most direct and concrete move here. There's a couple of options here. My pawn went for the standard d takes on e5, and yeah, I took with a knight here, but he could actually have played bishop takes on f3, which is interesting as well. He gives up the bishop, but he damages my structure, and after d takes on e5 here, I would take with the queen, and yeah, I'm attacking the queen. The queen probably needs to move. Actually, the best move is queen b8, but more natural seems like queen b6, and after rook g1, this position is um, not easy at all to figure out, because I have this pawn hanging here. I have a lot of pressure against his king, and yeah, this is actually very, very interesting. But this didn't happen in the game. After e5, he took the pawn directly. I take with a knight, and here he took the queen. I took back with rook, and he played rook fc8, which is the best move, very precise. But again, I just want to point out that after knight takes on e5, of course he can just take the pawn on g2. That's a move. After rook g1, there's a lot of variations here that, even though black is up a pawn, he has to be very careful. Things get really sharp, and he has to be very precise to hold the balance. But yeah, my opponent again just took the queen. He could still play bishop takes on g2, but again, maybe he didn't like this variation because it's tricky, or maybe he just knew that this wasn't the best option. He played rook fc8, which is very precise, actually. You might think, so is there a big difference between rook fc8 and rook ac8? Actually, there is a big difference, but I'll show you guys in just a second. So rook fc8 here, I played knight takes on c6, rook takes on c6, and now the best move, knight e4. So yeah, I prepared this line because like this line is very concrete. It's like very direct. We trade a lot of pieces. It's like, it's not only moves, but it's like there's a lot of ways for black and white to go wrong. And you know, I just wanted like a simple position to play, you know, against a higher rated opponent. I wanted like a risk-free approach to playing chess in this game. So that's what I got. I got very lucky that I actually got this exact variation. But yeah, that was my plan going in. I just wanted a risk-free position where I could maybe win if my opponent slips up, and if things don't go my way, I can just get a draw. So actually, it went very well. But here, after knight takes on e4, the best move is e5. And this is why rook fc8 is a big deal. But yeah, my opponent went rook ac8, which is a bit unprecise. After rook e2, e5 he played now, rook d1, and yeah, I just have a slight edge here. But I want to show you guys why rook fc8 is so precise. You know, rook fc8 earlier on, and it is very precise because the best move here is e5. And I was prepared against this. I was actually expecting this by my opponent because he was finding all the best moves. So I thought, okay, maybe he just knows the variation. Kind of unlucky for me, but at the same time, I mean, it's fair. If he knows, he knows. Here I have to go to d3 or d1. I can't go to d2. If I go to d2, he gets knight takes on e4 with tempo, and I'm just losing, you know. So I had to go to d1, for example. It doesn't really make a difference. d3 or d1 is the same thing. It takes here on e4, and now I take on e7. It takes this pawn on f2, so now is up a pawn here on f2, but it's not so simple because I have rook d7 with a counterattack on this b7 pawn. The best move is actually to ignore the fact that this pawn is hanging with rook ac8, threatening the pawn on c2 with check. I defend the pawn, I attack the knight, and now the best move is actually rook c6 to c7. If my opponent plays the natural knight takes on knight g4, just, you know, getting the knight out of the way and defending the knight, I can play h3. And now, I mean, if he plays knight f6, I just have rook takes on b7. This is very, very bad for black. Even knight d5 doesn't do much. I can just play rook d7. So yeah, here I would be good. But yeah, after knight g4, as you guys see, I can also still play rook takes on b7. If he takes on h2, it's even worse for him because this resulting position is just completely winning for white. I just have 3 passed pawns, and the pawns are coming up the board very, very quickly. So yeah, very precise that he had to play rook c6 to c7. It's the best move because after takes, here I play bishop a3, important move. And after bishop a3 here, knight d3 check is the correct move. King b1, knight f4, takes f6 here. And then now I can't go to e2 to defend this pawn, so I play bishop d6, attacking this rook. Yeah, this variation is absolutely crazy, you know. If my opponent plays something like rook d7, he's just completely losing after this. He's just completely lost. So he has to take the rook here. I take the rook, knight takes on g2, and the final move of the preparation was bishop takes on e5. This was my preparation. It's crazy. 26 moves of preparation. Computer chess. Welcome to computer chess. Oh my god, this is wild. I mean, yeah, and this is equal, of course, 0, 0, 0. But yeah, I mean, this was my preparation. It's kind of crazy that I looked at all of this in just 1 hour. Wow. But yeah, I showed you this big variation. It's probably very confused. You still don't understand why rook fc8 was so important here instead of rook ac8, but let's just quickly go through this now. So you saw all that variation that I just showed you, and let's just quickly see why this rook ac8 here is worse. Because after knight takes on c6, rook takes on c6 here after knight e4, e5 is a bad move. E5 doesn't work here because I have bishop takes on f6 intermezzo, and after pawn takes on d4, I take the bishop and I'm attacking the rook. So that's pretty simple. I gain a tempo here because this rook is here instead of being here. That's the old detail, and yeah, here I'm completely weak. So okay, that's it. Let's just move on with the game. I just wanted to show you guys this because yeah, I mean, this is what I try to do, all this preparation before a game. Like, this is how try hard I am. I'm really trying hard to just prepare. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah. Okay. In the game, he played rook fc8, and here I just defended the pawn. Now e5 is not that good. He played d5, but it's not that good because I just moved the rook, d3 or d1, doesn't matter. And now after knight takes on e4, there's nothing because this pawn is defended. I can just take the bishop, and if he played this, I would just be way, way better because, yeah, I mean, the bishop is probably better than the knight on an open board with pawns on both sides. And this knight is misplaced here. But yeah, this didn't happen in the game. Here he actually played b5, which took me out of preparation. I didn't see this move when I was preparing. I don't know what's going on. I finally have to think about the chess game. After, 17 moves, he surprised me. And here I had the first big thing of the game. I thought for 20 minutes, and yeah, I had a big time advantage, as you guys probably, understand. Here I had like 1 hour and 21 minutes, and he had like 50 minutes, 45. So big lead in time. But yeah, here I was looking at two decisions here. Knight takes on f6 and bishop takes on f6. I ended up playing knight takes on f6, which is incorrect. The best move would have been bishop takes on f6. I looked at this, I tried to understand the position after bishop takes on f6. Here, I was trying to think, okay, is this a scenario where my knight is better than the bishop? I was trying to figure that out. My knight is very well placed here on e4. The bishop is not well placed on f6. I have the open file for my rook. But in the long run, can I justify this knight being better than the bishop? My main worry here was to get, maybe I play a move, I don't know exactly what I would have played here. But let's say f3. I was afraid of something like bishop e7, and after bishop e7, f5. And I couldn't really understand what I would do against like f5. Let's say I make a move like a3, f5, and yeah, I didn't think that my knight would be good in this scenario. But this is why you have to actually calculate concrete moves instead of just looking at ideas. After bishop takes on f6, there's actually a concrete reason why I'm better, which is rook d5, and this is a very strong move. I'm attacking the pawn on b5 and I'm putting pressure on e5. And after a6, defending this pawn on b5. Now, let's say I play f3 again, just a move consolidating this knight. I mean, f3 is probably not that good, but let's just say f3 for the sake of the example. The bishop is not moving immediately to e7 or to d8 or anywhere. He has to first take care of this pawn. Let's say he plays rook e6, taking care of this pawn, and now he wants to play bishop e7, f5 here. I can simply just start, creating counterplay on this side of the board. Yeah, let's say he takes here. I just play knight c5, attacking this rook, attacking this pawn, attacking this other pawn. So it's not so simple for him to just play bishop e7, f5. I have time to create counterplay, which I missed this idea. It is what it is. I ended up taking with the knight because of this. Because, okay, this is way more simple to understand. After g takes on f6, I play bishop e3. And I can argue that this bishop is better than this bishop. I doubled his pawns here. So, yeah, I have the open file. And I should be slightly better. I'm not really better after a6. He didn't play a6, but after, for example, defending this pawn with rook c7 here, it's just equal. There's not that much advantage for white. So yeah, I played rook d5 here, a6, and here I didn't really know what to do with the position. I was kind of in a limbo. I didn't really know what plan I should go for here, which, yeah, it just shows that it shows that I don't really spend my time correctly. Before I took on f6, I should already have a plan, like a concrete plan of at least like 5 moves of going for something, but in reality, I didn't. I just went with assumptions instead of calculating some concrete stuff, which it's a big mistake. You should calculate concrete stuff, especially in these very important moments of the game where there's like concrete moves to be calculated. Very straightforward. Not a lot of pieces on the board. But okay, it is what it is. I just played a3 here, which doesn't do anything at all. Yeah, I was scared of a pawn avalanche with a5, b4, and I said, okay, maybe if I play e3, it slows down this pawn avalanche, but I don't know. My opponent can still play b4 eventually, and I probably would have to take. It activates this bishop somehow, so I don't know. a3, it's a useless move. I don't think it's good at all. Played king g7, so he's actually starting to improve his position. I played king d1, which for me it makes more sense than a3. I just want to, get my king out of this horrible stare down from my opponent. And my opponent played rook e6. He wants to play f5 and start rolling the pawns down the board. And here I played a very also committal decision, bishop d2. And yeah, even though this bishop looks good for the moment, it's not doing much in this diagonal. There's no targets, and f5 f4 is coming, and I want to prevent that by playing bishop d2 immediately. But this allows bishop c5, which I knew it would happen if my opponent wanted to. I still played bishop a5, and after rook c8 here I played f3, just getting my pawns on light squares to counter the bishop. And my opponent here was being very annoying, and he was playing very well. I think he was just outplaying me in this like middle game. He played bishop d4, forces c3, he goes bishop g1, forces h3, and here he just improves his king. So yeah, all of a sudden, I mean, yeah, this rerouting of the bishop wasn't really ideal. Now this bishop of his is a monster, and a few moves ago it wasn't good at all. So I ended up not accomplishing anything with this reroute of the bishop. So yeah, just quickly going back, I actually had a chance to be much better, because apparently bishop c5 is a big mistake, but I would have to find f4. And I looked at f4 in a lot of positions before, but I don't know, I just didn't see how good this move was. I couldn't really justify playing f4. Of course, if he takes here, I should be good, and there's nothing wrong about this position. I prefer white, but my main issue was e4. Just threatening f5, and all of a sudden he has a passed pawn here on the e file, but I have concrete moves again to justify this f4 move with f5 here. And yeah, it's not so simple here for my opponent to play. Let's say rook e7 here, and now bishop f4 comes in, and all of a sudden my bishop is a monster here. So Even though it looks scary that this pawn is passed on e4, there's actually it's actually not going anywhere anytime soon, and I stopped this king from coming in, and I have a lot of pressure in my opponent's position. I guess, can he trade? No, because this pawn would be hanging, sort of. Like, if he plays here, I don't trade immediately, apparently. I play this move. Yeah, um, yeah, you have to see all of this, but yeah, I had this chance of actually just straight up being better, but I missed it. And we end up reaching this position where after rook king e1, he played bishop c5. And yeah, I guess I have to figure out something because my opponent's idea is very straightforward. He's probably gonna defend this pawn once again, or maybe he's coming in with the king. This bishop is cutting all the dark squares off. This bishop is kind of misplaced. So here I found a very nice idea, which probably is one of the only ideas that keeps me in the game because I can't allow him to just do whatever he wants. I played rook e4. After h5, I played bishop e4. And this is very important because I want to just trade this very, very strong and annoying bishop of his. But of course, here you have to calculate, which I did after bishop e6. He's actually threatening a5 to trap my bishop, but I have this very important move a4, and it looks weird at first because it allows a5, but after bishop a3, there's nothing going on here. It's completely fine for white. And here, I think my opponent was surprised about this a4 move. He was a bit upset. He played rook d8, forces me to trade, but now I just trade this pawn on b5, and okay, we get this position where at least I have a majority here on the queen side, and I can easily create a passed pawn and have some counterplay. Although f5 is coming soon as well, with a potential passed pawn as well with f5 e4. So it's a very double-edged endgame here. I take the opportunity to play bishop c5 immediately. I want to get control of this important diagonal. Also, it helps my king come in to the dark squares. Here my opponent played bishop a5, which I didn't really understand. I just played rook e2. You know, like, it's a prophylactic move against f5, and also I want to bring this rook to the open file. He played f5, I played rook d2, played bishop e6, and here, okay, I traded. He takes with rook, and I played rook d5 here, and I was very happy with this position. I was very confident. I felt like I could easily get a draw in this position, but I should probably try to push for a win because he still has doubled pawns here. I have this potential passed pawn here, and the only thing that is not very good about my position is my king, but my rook is way better than his rook, so I was feeling confident. Also, my main preparation for this tournament was reading this wonderful book by Sam Shankland, The Theoretical Rook Endgames Grandmaster Knowledge, and I read like a decent part of the book before the tournament, and I was very, very, confident about my rook endgame. So this was perfect for this game here. I had no fear at all. Also, at this point, he played king f6. I played rook c5, h4, very nice move, stopping my pawns from moving. I played king e2 here, and he played rook b8. At this point in the game, I had like 8 minutes, and he had like 2 minutes only. So it was I had a big time advantage, and he was almost playing on increment already. So yeah, I was very, very confident. Here I played king f2 to try to prevent rook g8 here. My opponent played b4, which I felt it was very risky because it just allows me to get a passed pawn immediately with c4. He plays rook d8, which is annoying because I don't want to play rook d5, of course. So I play king e2, but now he gets rook g8, king f2, rook d8, king e2, rook g8, and I thought, okay, I mean, he's just making a draw. I mean, it makes sense. He's on time. I mean, okay, I'll take the draw. It's whatever. Kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I was expecting him to just offer a draw or repeat. But he played after King F2. He played Rook A8, and I was like, oh wow, he's going for a win. But this is very risky because he played Rook A8. But what about Rook B5 that I played in? Like, what are you doing now? He played Rook A4, and I was like, dude, like I have to be better. Computer says it's equal, but I thought, like this, I have to be better. I mean, just look at the position. Like his rook is super passive here on a4. My rook is active, potential passed pawn here, and yeah, what is he doing exactly? I played rook b6 check, and here he blundered with king g5, and I had a winning move here, which I missed. There's only one move that wins, and it's a spectacular move. Um, I played c5, which it's a blunder because it just allows a liquidation here after rook a5. Um, I played rook takes on b4, rook takes on c5, and now I never win this position. If someone is better, it's probably black actually because my king is gonna be stuck here on the back rank. But yeah, here I like c6 might look interesting, but after rook c5, this pawn is not going anywhere. So probably have to take on b4 again. So yeah, there's nothing here. But the spectacular move here that wins for white is king e3. Boom. And this is so hard to find. But yeah, this move is just absolutely stunning. A stunning move because now my opponent is in Zugzwang. He doesn't have a move. He doesn't have a move. Like he literally is stuck. He doesn't have a move. Uh yeah. If he plays f4, king e4 is losing this pawn. f6 doesn't really help him. I just move the king. This pawn is queening, so that doesn't work. E4 loses a pawn straight up, so he's also losing here. So after king e3, what does he do? He can't move his king. This square is not legal. This square is not legal as well. If he moves his rook to a1, for example, I just take on before. I have two passed pawns here. If he plays like rook g1, getting counterplay here, I can just play c5. And yeah, all of a sudden, this position is winning. I'm just gonna push my pawn and queen first. Um, so yeah, what do you do here? King h5 here also doesn't help. Just king d3, for example. And again, you don't really have moves. So yeah, I missed this idea. It was brilliant. Yeah, I mean, let's say after king e3, I just want to show that if he plays this f6 move, trying to pass the turn, I can play b3 now, and he has to move the rook. Before he had a check on a2 when my king was on e2, but now that I moved king e3, I just gain a tempo here, and yeah, this is just completely winning. c5, rook c2 doesn't even work because of rook c4, and it's over. So yeah, I missed this opportunity. Yeah, that would have been crazy if I found that. So yeah, we get this position where he gives a couple of checks here, plays f6, and I was very chilled out. I was very comfortable with this position. I knew that I would never lose this because I was comfortable. I studied these end games. You just have to cut off the king, and he never wins. You never win as well because your king is super passive. So yeah, the rest couple of moves were pretty straightforward. Um, you know, he tried to eventually bring his king in, but I still have time to take this pawn. He takes on b2. I bring the rook back, and yeah, now we just shuffle rooks. I mean, okay, here I had to calculate. Pretty simple calculation. Do I take? Do I not take? I just take because after rook takes, king takes, I have the distant opposition with the king e2, and this is very basic. There's opposition where the kings are facing each other, but when it's diagonal, it's actually the same thing. It works the same. I also studied this. Yeah, king e2, distant opposition, king c3. You keep the distant opposition with king e1, which I did, and the rest is simple. So yeah, I got a draw here, and yeah, it was a pretty good result, honestly. Drawing a very high rated opponent, and yeah, it gave me actually a lot of confidence for the rest of the tournament that I could, go toe to toe with this type of players and hold my own, and even maybe try to push for a win. So yeah, very nice start of the tournament, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This one was very very long and very detailed with a lot of confusing variations, but it is what it is, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.